I know vampires suck. Apparently, this one blows. I don't make the rules, man. It is what it is.
Drawk Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Drawk Show. I am thrilled for today because I am going to be talking to our first content creator. This is SleepyJack.
Hey, I appreciate that. What's going on, y'all? How are you doing, sir?
So, I found your YouTube videos because I had started running a World of Darkness game. I was looking for lore videos, and YouTube knows that I love me a good iceberg, and I will click on anything that says it's an iceberg. Even if I have no idea what the lore is, I'll just watch a YouTube video for, or an iceberg video for a franchise I have no attachment to. So something that I do know, perfect. And yeah, I immediately felt like reaching out to see if you wanted to be on the show. Good place to start. How'd you get into World of Darkness?
Well, I appreciate that. Glad to hear you jumped in, by the way. Glad my videos caught you. I was so super happy that you reached out. But as far as getting in the World of Darkness, it's really funny. Growing up, I guess I'd consider myself, well, okay, most people consider me a pretty big horror fanatic, if you will. I just like horror movies and horror games and stuff like that. Nothing new there, right? Nothing really, like, I don't think there's a pretty big community for that, right? But I'm a big fan also of kind of like vintage and old, I guess, times before my own. I'm really big into the 80s, the 70s, 80s, 90s as far as media and music goes. And just growing up, I was kind of instilled with a love of history. And so all of that kind of culminated into, and throw a little bit of a religion in there too. And at one point or another, I was kind of bound to stumble upon World of Darkness. I should also mention I was big into D&D, and I still am. I haven't played it recently, but I was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Yeah, it was just it started out with D&D as far as tabletops go, and then over time I stumbled across. I don't remember when, but I stumbled, of course, into Vampire the Masquerade specifically, and it's really funny because I got into it completely on my own. I don't really remember when, but after I got into it, I found out way down the line that someone else in my family actually used to play it in its prime days of the 90s, and maybe early 2000s as well. And it's coming back now with V5, but they used to play it, and so I sort of inherited the Vampire the Masquerade torch, if you will, and totally just by happenstance, right? And I think that really sealed it in. Like, okay, this is this. I have a home in this game. I like what it stands for. I'm all about the edginess and the modern interpretation.
Over the top, edgy, modern interpretation of classic horror monsters.
Absolutely. It doesn't help that my birthday is close to Halloween, and so growing up, I always celebrated on Halloween.
Oh, hey, so literally same.
There you go. So yeah, you can totally relate, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so all of that culminated into the mess I am now.
So it was like a combination of you're into horror, you're into things that kind of harken back to another era of media, and you start playing tabletop games. Was it just like Googling horror D&D games? Was it like a YouTube video that got recommended?
Good question. So sometime in high school, while playing Dungeons and Dragons, and just looking for. Let me take a step back from that. Even this is really random and makes no sense, right? I was a big fan. Hear me out with this one. I was a big fan of Fallout New Vegas, especially throughout like middle school and the like. I don't know if you ever played New Vegas, right? It's a Fallout game. It's really damn fun. Love it.
Mhm.
And I was looking for another game because there's a special kind of vibe to it, if you will.
Mhm.
That it was hard to recreate that, that really special kind of gaming experience, I guess you could say. It had this cool kind of Western Hollywood kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember specifically where, but somewhere I read people mentioning Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, that I believe 2007 game that was released by the original creators of Fallout, which is a gateway drug for Vampire the Masquerade as a whole. And I got introduced to Bloodlines, the game, because people mentioned it had, like, as far as RPGs go in a video game aspect, the only thing that was able to match New Vegas, a lot of people said, in story writing and world building and that kind of thing, was Bloodlines. And being into D&D at that point already, it was like, oh, okay, Bloodlines is pretty cool. And then I heard it was based off of a tabletop game, and oh, hey, even cooler. And yeah.
Just fell in from there. So you mentioned something about a friend being the motivating factor. What was how'd you start deciding to make these YouTube videos that have kind of just like blown up in the World of Darkness fan base?
Yes. And if I must say, if I were to pretend like everyone who watched those videos and the Vampire the Masquerade Iceberg I made and appreciates them, I thank y'all so much for enjoying it, because those videos do not deserve as many views as they have. Not to downplay myself or anything. I should more so say I made that for like a small audience. I had like 56 subs, or no, like a 40, and and to be honest, so to get to your question, sorry, where the Vampire the Masquerade Iceberg and then content creation came from. Both of those came twofold. I'm a pretty big fan of Vampire the Masquerade. I do have a tattoo of the Ankh of the K-Knight on my arm because my aunt, that was the family member who used to play. She also has it, so I kind of carried
Oh,
carried
that's
on
so sick.
I was just surprised there wasn't an Iceberg for Vampire the Masquerade yet. And because I'm sure you and I can relate, I love icebergs. Like there's the most genius thing to me as far as like, collecting a bunch of interesting information into one digestible source, right? If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just amazed that there wasn't an Iceberg for the game, because the game definitely deserved one. And I just had a lot going on in my life. I was trying to make a lot of positive changes in my life and trying to push myself into doing YouTube, doing social media, having my own source of income, right? The dream, right? Like the big content, internet dream. But I never had the idea. And then I was just thinking about it one day and was like, a really cool I heard someone say, if you want to change the culture, become the culture, that kind of idea.
Okay.
And I noticed what I liked about Vampire the Masquerade was how deep and strange and obscure and almost, and sometimes like eldritch, like Lovecrafty, and these really deep kind of concepts. I was really into that. But learning that information, especially on YouTube, is really damn hard.
There are
right?
so few good lore videos for Vampire the Masquerade, and most of them feel like they are so focused on the elements that interact only with the video games. Like nothing really goes into the cool tabletop lore. So you get this very surface level of like powers and vibe and aesthetic, but you don't get a lot of all of the interesting, like, these rule books are so dense with lore that they are genuinely made difficult to read because of it. And the idea that there's these surface level lore videos is insane.
Absolutely, and it's so in that regard, I saw a niche in my mind. I saw a gap that needed to be filled. In my mind, I was thinking, man, I wish there was a more approachable, streamlined, if you will. I don't want to sound like I'm putting down the World of Darkness content and the vampire content that's out there, but there's a lot of people who take the game really, 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 really seriously, and that's awesome. I love that. I'm not that guy though.
I know the vibe you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't have the time to communicate a mysterious, interesting, and spooky. I don't have the ability to project that aura. I wouldn't be able to do it as effectively as if I was just myself. And what's kind of funny is being myself, people still found a way to attribute the vampire aspect to it. I'm thinking in my mind, there's a lot of people who become a vampire, right? Like it's like it's like watching a vampire make a YouTube video, right? They're fully in character, and I'm just being myself, and it's not for everyone. That's the other funny thing is there's a lot of people who are not okay with it, right? They want me to get the Nosferatu coat and put in their rat fangs, and I'm down with it. But listen, I'm still learning.
To go through like my experience with your channel, I see it pop up. It seems insane. Like it seems like a challenge where it's like, hey, are you ready for layer 1, part 1 of 3 of an iceberg? And I go,
oh yeah.
And I go, okay, this is that bonkers, absolutely nuts. I'll be down for a challenge as long as he's not irritating and pretentious like so many vampire YouTubers I've seen. So clicking on it and you're just acting like a guy was immediately why I was like, oh no, I will actually watch this, and I'm glad I did. And I think like in the second video, I think you're already hitting your stride of being more confident while also being natural and being yourself instead of performatively dressing up as a vampire.
Yeah, right. And I appreciate that. And yeah, I thank you very much. It's really cool to see, because making it was a task in itself. But part 1 came out on Halloween of last year, October 31st, and that was a goal of mine. Like I had to have it out then, and so part 1 is a mess because I wasn't quite comfortable on camera yet. The usuals, right? But to hear from yourself and to see other people clearly communicate that the video by the time part 2 rolls around is so much better is like that's great. I'll take I absolutely I love that kind of feedback, because I've got a lot of improvement to do. Don't we all?
Everybody does. I feel like you're definitely you're hitting a vibe that I think is really needed. It makes sense to me that so many vampire and World of Darkness creators are as self-important as I think they are, because part of the charm of World of Darkness is the books take themselves way too seriously. I don't think they'd be as fun if they didn't, but they really do take themselves too seriously. But I do think that YouTube needs creators for World of Darkness who just talk about it like a game.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and it's really funny. There are people who like some of the comments are really funny, because people have said how and to be fair, I was not comfortable on camera yet. My next video is going to be a banger. I'm so excited to see how I have advanced over time, because I've gotten extremely comfortable on camera now. But it's really funny. People have mentioned, they say I ruined VTM because I was really uncharming and boring. Or no, I took they didn't say I was uncharming. I took the charm out, is what I read once or twice. And honestly, like, yeah, I agree with it. I think those are criticisms in their own right. And but like, I was expecting the reception to be worse because I guess that's the pessimist in me. And to see it get proven wrong every day is insane because, part one is so amateur, if you will, but I appreciate its existence because people can see that. And by the way, I made all this on my phone, by the way. All
Oh,
the
really?
editing and like all this stuff, it's all on my phone. And so
Oh,
people
God.
can look at that and it's like, dude, if I can do it, y'all can do it. Please.
I had no idea that was edited on a phone. That's wild to me.
Yeah, all of it was done on my phone. And the next one's going to be on my phone too, because it's just what I do.
At some point, you need a laptop.
So I should say I am recording on a laptop, so I have the mic and the webcam. But originally, it was just going to be all camera, and actually, part 1 and 2 still has a lot of instances where I use my mic. I mean, my microphone on my phone, microphone on my phone. Yeah, so it's embarrassing but inspiring. I don't know, and it's cool to see it inspires others too. It's really exciting.
That's awesome. I really hope that it's part of a wave of more people making more types of content for Vampire, because I mean, look, I have a bias for World of Darkness. I'm mage pilled, and that game has no content. Like, there is nothing on YouTube for us mage stands, but
Nope.
I hope that this is part of World of Darkness stuff being a little bit more common on YouTube and having more of a place on the internet, because it's a world that deserves it. Like, it carried RPGs through the 90s, and I feel like as a franchise, it gets the community it's not small, but there's not a lot being made. Like, it's not an especially productive community.
Right. It's funny because this is not a bad thing. This is a generalization. This is an anecdote, et cetera, right? This is just one guy. This is just me sleep talking. But it's the way I see it when it comes to the goth and the, I don't know, emo and the black metal and the blah blah blah. A lot of what Vampire touches on is all about hiding in the dark, right? It's I'd imagine if I was any other Vampire the Masquerade YouTube or hardcore enthusiast, none of these lights would be on right now, and you wouldn't be calling me while the sun is setting. You'd be calling me after I, do my thing, and then we'll talk.
You must rise from your coffin.
SleepyJack mode. Yeah. After I, but you mentioned mage, by the way. This isn't something that's going to happen soon, but in the future, I really, really do want to sit down and put together a mage Iceberg, and that's going to take,
oh my god,
it'd be a monumental effort. It is. Like
100%. Mage is in my opinion, the only game. Oh god, no, it's two of them, because from what I understand, Vampire shockingly somehow has, I think, kind of the simplest lore, despite being the most developed, because it feels like it makes sense in a lot of ways. Mage is a little bit more complicated than that, but no, I'd be wrong to say it's the worst, because Changeling and Werewolf are both more over the top than Mage. There's so much to
Werewolf is pretty trippy in its own right, and I think a Werewolf, I could be wrong, but at least in recent memory, I think Werewolf took the most L's as far as. Did you see that game that was released like last year or the year before?
I did not know. I didn't know there was a game.
Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood. There's a reason you haven't heard of Earthblood.
No.
It's hilarious, man. It's gold. And it's funny. I have a buddy of mine who's really into. If I'm the vampire guy, he's the werewolf guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really excited about Earthblood, and he hit me up like an hour after buying it and was like, "This is shit. I hate this garbage."
Oh, fuck.
Sorry, man. Hate to hear it.
Oh, that's so sad.
I think vampires had a lot of its own. Can I clear the air real quick?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
somehow, some way, in part 1 of that series, some people got under the impression that I like Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Hang on, let me get it. Let me get the item in question here.
Okay.
This book right here.
Uh-huh.
They think I like, this is the most modern version of this game.
The vibe that I got was that it was not your favorite.
Good, okay, good. Because some people thought I liked it, and I was like, no. I like a lot about it. I love the way they do hunger. I think gameplay wise, it's really cool.
That's exactly how a lot of my friends who have introduced me to this setting feel. Is there's a lot about 5th edition that they find really interesting, but we play 20th anniversary for a reason.
There you go. Exactly. It's just
they have been looking at bringing in if we can third party bring in the Thin Blood content from 5th edition though.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I really do like the way they elaborate Thin Bloods and flesh out Thin Blood alchemy and the like, and introduce. They were always in the game, admittedly, but they're more. The idea is more explored. Is the idea of these vampires who are so diluted from the source, the mother font, if you will, right?
Yeah.
the cane. That
so far down the bloodline. Yeah.
And it's
because if you play them in 20th anniversary, you're basically just playing a shit vampire.
Yeah, it's like the game is trying to. It's not trying to, not pun not intended. It's not trying to embrace that play style. It's trying to kind of like, it's like, and then there's but these vampires are hated by all the other ones. So same thing with caitiffs. I think caitiffs, the clanless vampires who just they're albino or something, right? They're totally independent, like offshoots. With the exception of the Stone Man, I guess people don't make fun of the Stone Man in the World of Darkness.
I am not aware of the Stone Man. I was going to ask what are some of your favorite like little bits of lore coming up in the future, but hey, we stumbled on one. Tell me about the Stone Man.
That's a tough question. So Stone Man, we really don't know too much about him. I'm pretty sure, or him or her or something, but Stone Man, right?
The Stone person.
It's this character. It's more of like a boogeyman, if anything. It's the idea that there is a vampire out there who's a caitiff, a clan, clanless, right? They don't belong to Nosferatu, Toreador, etc. Who has mastered, or if I might be mixing it up a little bit. He has either mastered the ability to sort of consume and inherit disciplines from other vampires he diablerizes.
Okay.
Or he already knows. Because one thing about caitiffs that's kind of freaky is they can manifest disciplines that their bloodline doesn't originally have, right?
Okay.
Like they'll just gain. They have the ability to gain power that their clan. Let's say, if I embraced you and I was Toreador and you became a caitiff, you might adopt certain abilities and disciplines that I have never had. And the Stone Man is this. He's sort of like for everyone who isn't a caitiff or a clanless, they hate the Stone Man. He's just some joke kind of made up character who's there to represent the little guy. But for the caitiffs, the Stone Man is like this idolized kind of. Maybe idolized is too strong a way to put it, but he's respected by other caitiffs as being like the best caitiff, like the strongest, the longest, the oldest, the strongest, the most capable caitiff.
Okay.
And that's about it. that's about where it begins and ends. I don't know if he was ever given a character sheet or if he was ever properly introduced in a chronicle or not. I don't believe he was. I think he's only like Bigfoot.
But it's like a mythical figure to the caitiffs. This idea of like the truest one.
Right, exactly. Because there's always that philosophical, I guess if you could call it that weird question of, if I was turned into a vampire, by that guy
Mhm.
who turned him into a vampire and who turned them into a vampire, right? It's kind of that question that naturally evolves into, okay, who's the first vampire? And I think for Cadis, it's the same thing of like, okay, if I somehow became a weird, bastard child offshoot, whatever, there's a lot of mean and a lot of kind names for Cadis, right? But if I was this individual who's out of place, if you will, who else is there? And if I'm able to adopt these impossible capabilities, who's to say there isn't one who's done it all, right? The
Okay.
like ultimate mutant or something like that.
That gets into something that I really love about World of Darkness lore, and it's the same thing that I love about Warhammer lore. I think both franchises have this great
Yes.
tendency to have ambiguities where not everything everyone believes could be true. So it is left entirely up to you what parts you think are true, what parts you think are myth. And I mean, that's actually one of the difficulties I have with a lot of the creators I've seen in World of Darkness, because they only talk from the vampire perspective. Things are often treated as pure fact of what the vampires say. Whereas, like, okay, but the
And
werewolves say
vampires
something
are
that
liars.
directly contradicts, and so do the changelings, and so do the mages. Oh, the mages ain't no shit. They're wrong.
The mages are like, they're all right or they're all wrong, right? You know what I mean? Like they exist in this weird parallel of it's weird. Mage as a concept is like, okay, if I want if it's a true World of Darkness game, my vampire game should have the New World Order and the Illuminati. But if I was playing a vampire game, then I'm just gonna have like the government, right? Like Mage has a cool kind of matrix thing going on with it that you can have an interesting game if you really embrace those elements, or do away with it and you'll be fine.
Running
But I
a
think
running a
I'm sorry.
mixed World of Darkness game, that's something I'm running into, is like how many secret societies of bad guys there are if you include everybody's lore.
Yeah, there's a it's funny when it comes to World of Darkness, kind of like we were saying earlier, intentional by design, it's made to be a game that's not fully made to be understood. And if you do understand everything, then you realize the ultimate thing to understand is that there is nothing. It's all up into interpretation, right? And I think what is cool about that is that you can really make it your own thing. But what I think is kind of frustrating about that, if only slightly, is that when it comes to doing things like the Iceberg, for example, in part two, I referenced the memo scene, a group of Malkavian scholars who, we can get into that in a second, but that's it. Like if I talk about it, it's like, oh, they're XYZ. They're a group of Malkavian diabolarists who chronicle legends in time. Period. like the source books don't elaborate on them. They don't really explore it, which is good in one way, right? Because you can make it your own thing, right? So it's kind of that toolkit aspect. But it's also kind of vague on the other end because it's like, that's cool. What about it? Like there's a lot of really interesting concepts that are condensed down to a paragraph on a wiki, which is sort of intentional, but also sort of sometimes it leaves you wanting more, I think.
Well, I think there's just like the part I like is that, much like I said, much like Warhammer, it's self-conflicting and you need to kind of interpret it for yourself. The part that is difficult is, much like Warhammer Fantasy compared to 40K, there's just not enough published to really sink your teeth into a lot of the cool concepts.
But what about Age of Sigmar, man?
I'm conflicted. I after having played the Soulbound tabletop RPG, I like Age of Sigmar more than I did.
That's fair. That's fair.
Soulbound is fun. It's
That's
a
the most
fun
credit
game.
I've ever heard. And I'm not even a World of Darkness guy that much. I just, in my inner circles, I have people who really like World of Dark. I mean,
Warhammer, yeah.
Warhammer. It's so embedded in my head now. Yeah, dude. It's funny. I wasn't ever a huge fan of Warhammer until one of my closest friends like sat me down, put me in front of the computer, and was like, "All right, we're playing Total War."
Total War Warhammer.
Yeah, I like Total War, but playing the Total War Warhammer games.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Fucking great games.
And the vampires in those games. Damn.
The vampire in those games, I would be shocked if they didn't inspire the clans of Vampire the Masquerade, because the idea of the rules that they have and the way they're separated by clan is so similar. It feels like a direct inspiration.
Yeah, I'd be interested in looking into something like that. Just thinking about because there is a World of Darkness documentary that does talk about, or I believe it's either WOD or VTM specifically. And it has Mark Ryan Hagen, the creator, like the original brains behind Vampire the Masquerade and World of Darkness. There's plenty of other people I should give credit to. I don't remember him, but Mark Ryan Hagen comes to mind first.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about a lot of their inspirations, but from what they displayed, Warhammer didn't seem to fit in the category anywhere.
Interesting.
But I'm interested to, like, I bet if we dig into that, maybe, around 1992 or 1993. It might be 1991, actually. I'm not remembering. When VTM was first released alongside World of Darkness. If at that point we could draw any parallels, right? See what kind of vampires we're dealing with.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun
D&D as well, right? D&D as well has its own vampires at that time.
I feel like Warhammer is the big one that comes to mind for like the first thing with clans, but maybe Warhammer didn't add the vampires as early as I thought they did. I'm actually uncertain.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do just on the I was let me just tell you where my brain is at, because this coffee is making it go 700 miles per hour. Get you some coffee, my friend. It's good stuff. Or some tea, whatever you drink up in the north.
I got coffee and a smoothie today.
Nice. That's what's up. What kind of smoothie?
We got Greek yogurt, strawberries, and chocolate protein powder. It looks nice and disgusting.
Ooh. It usually does, right? But it tastes fine. Just looks like something it would be dispensed out of like a dystopian protein dispenser.
That is absolutely the look.
Yeah, right. Here's your protein fuel for the day. Your Warhammer ration, right?
Get
your
back to the factory.
Yeah, your synthetic steak. That stuff freaks me out. The synthetic food is becoming more and more synthetic meat. And we already have automated McDonald's and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we start like having automated McDonald's.
Oh God.
That create synthetic meat. We really are moving towards cyberpunk. I'm just saying. That's where my
100%. Every country is deciding if they're going to be one of the countries talked about in cyberpunk that's a cyberpunk dystopia, or if they're going to be one of the ones that's like a fascist dystopia.
There you go. Yeah,
we're going to have choices.
We're going towards. 1984 is correct. Or cyberpunk. What was it originally? 2023.
I think something like that. Yeah, a little bit off on their estimation. Only slightly.
Only slightly, but we're getting there. Right? We already have drones drones. What drones can do nowadays is crazy.
Oh my God! Every country's in the race, though. What are you going to be?
Yeah, it's wild down here in the States. It's like in a lot of ways. Okay, again, it's all anecdotal, general. I'm not a professional in this topic. L's in the chat. I'm not. It looks like the middle class is kind of shrinking more and more as time goes on, and soon we're gonna have like a lower, and we're gonna have an upper, and that's when the cyberpunk really kicks in, right?
Yeah.
That's when it's
when Marx becomes completely right, and it's just bourgeoisie and worker, and that's the only two types of person. That's when the cyberpunk ready to happen.
He's gonna be doing kick flips in his grave.
Well, funny, he actually said America was one of the countries he was hopeful for had a chance of becoming post-capitalist just with its robust democracy.
Yeah, Many people have predicted many things for the United States.
And many people have been wrong. This
Sometimes
leather
they're right,
jacket,
most they're wrong.
this leather jacket I'm drawing, by the way, has just way too many spikes, and like an absolutely impractical amount of spikes.
Good man, I appreciate that. I can't see it or whatever. I do have the stream open, but I covered the art. I just wanted to see the chat. That's all.
Oh, okay. You can watch the art as you go if you want.
No, that's fine. I'm excited to see it.
All right. I found it surprising how many people. I found it surprising how many people just want to reveal at the end. Honestly.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. That just reminds me of something. Have you ever seen that Keanu Reeves art that's been going around? I'm sorry, no. The Keanu Reeves art. This is hard to say. The art of Kane, the first vampire, depicted as Keanu Reeves.
I have not. No.
Okay, it is in part 2 of my Iceberg. Like somewhere in there, I do show like some fan art of Kane, and it's this guy drew. You can just like Kane Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
And it's funny because like I reached out to that guy and I wound up working with him and to draw myself as a vampire, all that stuff, right? But it's funny because he even said like because he's really good at doing portfolios of. He kind of popped off by drawing people as vampires.
Okay.
And I was like Warhammer characters and stuff like Space Marines and the like of different chapters and stuff. But I guess it's funny because like he had mentioned that he never started advertising drawing like I'll draw you as a vampire. He was just like here's a self-portrait, and then he drew Keanu Reeves Kane in it. It's used in a lot of videos actually, and I think there's a. Do you have you ever heard of Kogan Lawlins?
Oh, probably, but I've forgotten if I have.
It's this guy who makes vampire videos. Period. He talks about like individual media and TV shows and movies and the like, and talks about what kinds of vampires those are.
Okay. Classifying media vampires.
Yeah, he'll talk about one video. It'll be like I don't know, Supernatural or something like that, right? And kind of break down what the vampires are like in that series versus something else.
Oh yeah.
I'm so mad at myself because I was going to say something about that, and then I forgot.
Oh shit!
But it tied into the other thing. It was Nope, I lost it. I got too excited. That's what happens, man. It's that coffee. I'm telling you. Well, what I was going to say is subscribe to his channel and check him out. I would love to work with him sometime on my next project, which is not Vampire the Masquerade. It's not the Vampire the Masquerade Iceberg Part 3, unfortunately.
But when?
I know. I keep asking myself the same thing. I have a plan. So the first thing when it comes to how I'm going to approach this Iceberg is given that. So me personally, I'm not too happy with how I left off some of the concepts in part 1 and 2. Part 1 and 2, I generalize too hard sometimes. Which is universally pretty good, but in other concepts, like I generalize too much, right? Like I should have gone in more depth with certain things. So for part 3, it might be a long video. I kind of want to revisit a lot of the concepts that I believe I painted over, or I otherwise could explain better. And that in itself will probably make up the bulk of, or at least maybe an early part of part 3. And then after that is completed and we retread some old ground and talk about, revisit some topics, we'll say copies. Then we'll move on to the final part of tier 1. Because I was not expecting it to become as big as it was, right? Like, and I want to live up to that standard of the kind of standard I set, I guess, if that's fair to say. I want to do justice and have a good series. I want it to be. It's going to be a very long series. I'm willing to bet by the time in the future, it probably will be Cyberpunk 2077 by the time I'm done. Getting to the bottom of the iceberg, but
you'll need to file for your official YouTubing permit to post the final part.
Yes, or they're gonna kick down my doors and like steal my license, and I'm gonna lose like 20 points in my social score.
Oh God!
in the dystopian world,
sounds too close to possible.
We might be looking back on this. They're gonna say, "Damn, Sleepy and Drawk show are right." But I am, and a lot of why I'm not too certain on where the VTM iceberg is because there's so much research that goes into it. I've had to make several revisions to the iceberg since we last seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I want to deliver. I want it to be really something special, and it's going to be a long video. I'd like to talk about the AI art at some point. I figured that'd be a fun conversation because that itself is a pretty big conversation in my videos, funny enough, that I was not expecting.
I'm so torn with AI art, man, because I mean, obviously I'm an artist, so it's bad for me if art doesn't get made. But the reason I've started doing this is because I feel like this is a way of art being process-based so that I'm not a threat from AI art. This channel is, as much as I love talking to people, it's also a way of, as an artist, evading AI art.
Great idea.
Yeah. Oh boy, I don't think I have a good enough take. Like I go both ways. The big thing I'll say is I don't think companies should be allowed to use artists' work to reference for their AI database without permission. Like, I think the best thing would be if a company to use AI artwork had to have those artists on staff. Basically be paying them a salary for continued use of their artwork, or just be drawing from public domain otherwise.
Some sort of license or otherwise legal confirmation that the person will be compensated for their stylization.
Yeah, like I think the companies who make it, in theory, if it were to be ethical, I think the best solution would be to have artists being on salary for the companies using their artwork to build a database.
Sure, could be. I could see that. I could see that being, if not that specifically, something like that could very well become a solution, quote unquote, a thing that happens, but maybe not wholesale, but maybe in like a compartmentalized way that, and then capital, and then and then it's gonna become its own little monetized thing that gets eaten up by the financial machine, right? But
even if there was one company that was like, hey, we're going to be the ethical AI company and we have artists on salary and we just pay them to keep producing works that we have a bigger and bigger portfolio, and otherwise we use public domain, I don't know, I think that would be a cool company to support if someone was doing that.
That'd be cool. I could see that.
Yeah,
I'd say it's tough because in the when making those videos, I should first mention that when it comes to art and World of Darkness or Vampire the Masquerade, as I'm sure you know, art is extremely rare, like period. A lot of the concepts and stuff that I talk about, like in my videos, for example, just no one, maybe there's like one picture that I did use in the video, in the book, that depicts Uriel speaking to Cain about a prophecy or something like that, right? But it's stuff that doesn't exist, right? And so I thought I would be cool and different by using something like AI generated art to visualize these never before seen concepts. But I was really surprised to see that first, most people are down with it, I think.
Yeah.
But there's a really real amount of people who are not with it. They don't like it. It's not that the art sucked, is that it's a moral thing.
I think I've talked to people about this, and there's a lot of people I know who are surprised that there's anyone who doesn't know about the outrage. I would consider looking into it because I don't have an especially strong stance. I think that a lot of the ways companies who are producing the AI generators are acting unethically. But I do get why there are people who feel a lot more severely about it than I do. I think regardless of anything, there's a place for AI art, like especially if you're running a game or whatever and need an icon for an NPC. But I know in products at the very least, I get why people are against it. I also know why people use it. My take is kind of it's a sad defeatist one, which is why I don't love saying it, but I think I should be honest, which is just I don't think it can be stopped, so I'm just kind of adjusting my expectations early.
It's only going to get bigger whether we like it or not.
Yeah, and that's I mean, it's a sad take to have, especially as an artist, but I can't bring myself to imagine that it's not just going to keep becoming more and more successful.
Yeah, very. I mean, why wouldn't it, right? Like it probability wise, it's just technology only ever moves up and it only ever gets smaller, right?
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't really be any difference with that. I think that's an interesting opinion, especially coming from an artist like yourself, right? And a pretty damn good one, I'll say. I was watching some of the last stream with with Fireman. That guy was cool.
That guy was rad.
That stuff was great looking, man. I loved it. It was cool because I jumped in and then jumped out and then jumped back in, and it was cool seeing it go from sketch to this just damn.
I'm glad you think so. I think as far as for a YouTube video that's such a weird middle ground. Because when it comes to illustrations for stuff, yeah, it's not like you can afford to pay artists to create art for everything you want to talk about, and there isn't a lot of fan art to go around in the community. You'd be using a lot of the same images. But I do get it, because in general, I find a difficulty with YouTube videos using AI art because, but people are generally just using fan art that they've taken without permission, and you were at the very least, as of your second video, looking into getting permission from people, and this might be a brutal take that I think a lot of people won't like of mine, but I think that
I love it.
To an extent, if the problem is with video essayists using AI artwork, I think that's one of the places it's less damaging, because the alternative is stealing fan art or asking. But if the fan art doesn't exist, or if you are most people who make video essays do just steal fan art. Maybe not now. I think the expectations changed a bit. It feels like a situation where not as much harm is being done. Although, granted, I guess there is still supporting of companies that have unethical practice. But then again, in capitalism, basically every company you could support has unethical practice. God, I don't know. I don't think I have a good enough take.
Capitalism goes where the money goes. That's the most honest thing about it, right? One thing for sure is it always goes where the money goes. At any cost.
Yeah, I think I don't have a refined enough opinion to give you a good takeaway, unfortunately.
No, I'm just talking about it is enough as is, I think. I'm going to communicate this in my future videos, especially. I'm really excited to get the next one out, but it's a work in progress. I'm using so far I don't have any AI generated art that I've used. And everything that I have used is fully credited very plainly on screen.
Nice.
And a lot of stuff I'm talking about too is it's like old movies from 1964. So, it's like art by art. We're talking like movie posters, right?
Oh, I love that. That's a cool idea for how to do it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, um, I've been paying artists, right? Like I've been working and commissioning individuals to draw myself as a vampire because I wanted to get their name out. Because that's not because like I did that because I want to, but I hope that at least softens the blow a bit of using AI art, right? It's like, okay, well, I swear I'm putting my money where my mouth is at least a couple spots, right? And by the way, that's something we talked about a little bit, right? If ever, anytime you would ever want to like sit down and really draw some cool stuff, right? Maybe I am looking for like a YouTube banner, for example. I'd love to sit down and kind of figure out how I'd like to put that together. I'd love to work with you. Just by the way, and let's talk prices, right? Because I love this. I haven't seen the art yet. I haven't moved the.
For the stuff I do on stream, the cost is the interview because I can't make the stream without people to talk to. So
also true, but yeah, it's like what I love about because I really want to be honest. I will be honest. I don't like I'm trying to like not get up on a soapbox and just start like preaching. So because Lord knows I love to talk. But I want to use this platform to bring other people up. And it's exciting because it's not that I haven't yet, but I haven't yet, like when it's cool to see like these, thousands of views or whatever rake in. I'm excited just to like for you, for example, I want to take the stream and we'll, try to chop it up and maybe edit into a little update video on the channel. So, I can let people know what's up. And so I can shout you out and so I can get exposure. Because I was shocked. Like when I saw like your there's, I don't know how many people are in chat right now. I don't know if chat's awake.
Chat's awake. We got 8 people in. I mean, that's about,
all right,
I think about the highest.
How y'all doing? You deserve bigger numbers, period, man. No, I don't believe in deserve. You earned bigger numbers, my brother. You absolutely like it's like I want to. There you go. There you go. Okay, so chat is up. All right, that's good. That's good.
Hey, it's higher.
We're a bunch of lurkers. That's okay, chat. That's all right. I just want to know hey, chat. Can I ask yourself in chat real quick?
Yeah.
Draw, Mr. My good brother, Draw Man, and this chat here. Okay. I had some pretty long hair in the last 2 videos. I did a little goofing. I needed to. Can I have y'all's help with this? Because I really don't know. Because okay, you ready? All right. I need to know.
Okay.
W hair or L hair? That's all I need to know, right? Because I don't straight up. I don't
the
have
new hair or the previous
anymore.
hair?
WL, should I do?
Look, I mean, you can tell by my face. I'm a bit of a hair minimalist myself.
Good. Okay. It's so funny. People commented in the video. They were like, "Damn, this guy's outfits and hair get cooler and cooler." And I was like, "Shit, I shaved it." Damn, I hope that wasn't the wrong decision.
Oh no.
That is cool, man. That's exciting. It's exciting, man. It's
yeah. I get what you mean by trying to lift people up, though, because, like, I mean, obviously, not there yet. Channels just starting out don't have the views rolling in yet, but that's the big thing when I get there is just I'm already thinking about, like, how do I want to pay it back when I get there? Because I'm confident the channel will. I think the idea is solid. I think it just is hard to get people into a 2-hour video without an introduction, which is why I'm so hyped to start interviewing creators because I think it's going to give people a reason to check it out. And I think hopefully they like what they see.
Hell yes, man. And you know something? Like, if I can tell you and anyone else who wants to sit down and make a video, because I firmly believe I don't put a lot of faith in a lot of things, okay? I really do believe, especially now's the time to jump on some content creation.
Okay.
YouTube, Reels, Twitch stream, whatever it is. If you think about, I'm talking to chat now, I'm sorry, but if you want to do it, I need you to do it. Don't do it for me, but do it for you. Because I do all this stuff from my phone. And I want to see everyone around me come up. I want to bring everyone up together. I want to be able to You get the idea. I mean, it's exciting, man. It's cool. It's so fun to be able to. What you emailed me at the best time, by the way. I've been busy as hell with work. And so like I sat down on the bed, right? Just flung out on the bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like checked my email. It was like, "Hey, art for an interview." And it was like, "What? Me?
Oh, that works
me?
out.
Yeah, I didn't think the vids were that good, but you know what? The next ones are going to be so much better. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to see that. Based off the growth between part 1 and part 2, I'm really excited. Oh, something that reminds me, I've been meaning to go back to is how many parts the iceberg is. I had this revelation watching part 2 that what's kind of unique about what you're doing is it's less a typical iceberg and more like one of those playlists you'd see that's like step by step, here's the lore of a franchise. But because it's built on the framework of an iceberg, it feels a lot more approachable than if you were like, here's part 8 of the series, because you can talk about it in tiers, which makes it feel much easier to get into.
I appreciate that. I'm glad you see the value in that. Yeah, it is tough because a lot of the videos that you see that are out there, you'll jump in and you'll start. You know how it is. I mean, this is why you said it. I'm glad you see that, and I'm glad you see value in that. Because
100%.
the fact of the matter is, if it exists, there's an audience for it. And at that point, it just comes down to making people see it. Which that was the other thing I want to say, by the way, because you have a YouTube channel.
I do.
Do you use vidIQ?
I have no idea what vidIQ is.
So I promise you, I have the screenshots I got the receipts. I promise you, my man. When I started and made part 1 and part 2, vidIQ is an analytics app, by the way. It's totally free. I'm not sponsored by them, but I'm pretty sure like Mr. Beast and whoever made it.
Okay.
It's an analytics app. It helps with keywords. It shows you ways that you can improve your video on the back end, right? To increase its exposure. Blah blah blah, and it's all. There's a subscription service. It's like $10 a month or something like that down here. But I promise, before when I just started, those videos were only. I remember being out and about with my friends at the bar not too long ago, and we were like, "Ooh, the video just hit 600 views," which that in itself is very crazy, by the way. There's like 600 views. Like, let's go. And then I downloaded vidIQ and I just opened up my videos and it was able to. It just listed out like recommended keywords that I could add to the video. It shows you the keywords that produce the most traffic. So like this is what people are searching up that bring you to your video. And it gives you like a score, if you will, of like recommended things you should do. Get yourself a nice thumbnail, that kind of thing. And all I did was follow the advice on that thing, and that was it. Now we're here. Like shit. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, it was that easier, but
look, that's the fact that you're not sponsored. It's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah, I genuinely. This is something, that if you're really. Yeah, absolutely. Especially because what you do a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. That's what's up. That kind of thing. Like I bet, man, if you refine some, like if you got some more tags and you blah, 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 you follow the process.
Like, just knowing that there's something to help me figure that stuff out is huge. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah. And this is all just, this is from what I've been picking up as I've been going along. I was definitely not qualified for in part 1 or part 2, maybe not so much, but I am now. Like
you're getting there, yeah.
It's super cool.
So
as for the next video, go ahead.
No. You go, and then I'll ask my question.
Thank you for letting me talk, by the way. Again,
hey, no problem.
If anyone knows me who's in the chat right now, if they know me in person, they know I don't shut up. So I thank you for letting me ramble. I try to keep the words wise, but actually, let's go with your question.
Okay.
Let's go with your question.
I was just going to ask, because I've been curious about it, what your favorite of the vampire clans is.
This is such a different question. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I've been back and forth on this for a long time. I think I sit for a long time. I thought I was Ventru.
Okay.
But deep down inside, Nosferatu.
The good old monster boys.
Yes, these dudes right here. Because I am it's not that I'm antisocial, but I just like being alone, I guess. I'm not trying to sound like an edgelord. I probably am. I probably sound like an edgelord this whole night, but like I'm not trying to.
We're talking about Vampire the Masquerade.
You probably get how it is, right? It's easier to just do your own thing, right, and focus in. And I do IT stuff as my actual profession a little bit, and so Nosferatu lines up in that regard. That's as far as Camarilla goes. When it, hang on, what is it? I love Chabro. That's funny. That's when it comes to Camarilla or Camarilla, however you want to say it.
I go Camarilla usually.
What about you?
Oh boy, I find Toreador funny.
They are the artists. They are the art.
I mean, fair. Something about like weird, snobby, elitist vampire artists, I think is very funny to me. I think there's a lot of appeal there. Them are Malkavians.
Ooh, Children of Malkav.
Yeah. Look.
Be careful with them, man.
They go crazy. The vampirism make them crazy. It's great.
I do really. What I think is cool about Toreador is, I don't know if, I think you said elitist.
Yeah,
I could see that. You're saying elitist in that they project, they have a twisted perception of the universe that they project onto others, and that's their sense of
They judge reality by their virtues as though, and are very specific about what they see as good and worthwhile.
Okay, yeah, I completely see that then. And it's messed up because that definition of right, if you will, of beautiful, if anything. Well, maybe not even beautiful, of captivation. How's that? Captivation, right? I think that's that. Do you think that was
I think that's about right for their outlook.
Is like that. What's so scary about them is their definition of aspiration, of obsession is constantly changing. Which is like a tabaxi in Dungeons and Dragons, except way, way, way more dangerous.
Yeah, because
have you ever seen tabaxi in 5th edition?
I've looked into the lore. They are wild.
Yeah. If you ever see, did you ever check out the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2? Say that 5 times fast. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 reveals that show off some of the Toreador?
I haven't. I've actually looked very little into the video games. I only have experience with World of Darkness through the tabletop.
Nice. Okay. That's good. Mostly same. I've only seen one thing as far as the reveal goes for Bloodlines 2 because I don't want any hype for it. I just, but if you ever do check it out, or if they ever get around to releasing the game Bloodlines 2, which last we heard, apparently it is out of, what's the word, hiatus. I think it was like a development hell. Apparently it might be that might not be,
it might eventually happen.
No longer the case. Yeah, we might actually get Bloodlines 2, which, we do live in a post cyberpunk world, and all hope has gone out the window at this point, right? Just like, so at this point, it's like, what would Bloodlines 2 even?
At least,
will it live up to Bloodlines, or will it just be another?
At least Cyberpunk eventually updated the game to be functional.
That is, yeah. They have. I should mention on that one. I don't know a damn thing about Cyberpunk. I've done a really good job at completely excising that game out of my life because I want to play it when it's good. Apparently, and I hear it's good now.
played it, but as I understand, as of recently, it runs pretty well.
I heard same with Harry Potter Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy. I heard Hogwarts Legacy is fantastic, but I also hear that there's not a lot of. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh boy, I cannot get into my thoughts on that one. I pass. Okay. Pass.
Deal. All right, deal. Let's go back to the vampires.
We'll go back to vampires.
So, can I want to tell you my next project, if you'd like to hear it.
No, I'd love to hear it. I am absolutely interested in that.
Let me fix my belt is all rolled up. Okay. So, I've been busting my ass off on this thing. Okay. I don't have a way I could show it to you right this second, but the next video that's coming up, I sneak peeked it slightly in the community tab on my channel, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Is specifically a vampire iceberg, period.
Okay, so like not at all with other World of Darkness stuff, just pure vampire.
Indeed. Vampires, period. Because...
Oh, wait. So all media vampires... Oh.
There you go.
Oh, so, shit. Okay, I see.
I actually thought it'd be kind of cool. Would you like me to send it to you on Discord? And...
Oh, 100%. Do you want to put it DM or into the channel on media chat?
Oh, yeah. Please share with the rest of the chat, right?
Yeah.
Does chat want to see it?
If you go into my Discord, you can go to the media channel if you pop it in there. Oh, that's exciting. And
it's not complete yet, right? Like everything else, it's still a work in progress. I have a couple of things. All right, Chad, I appreciate you. Okay, it's coming. There is only one vampire iceberg at this time. And what I'm showing y'all is classified information. Okay, now if you're gonna go post it on Reddit, at least give me some credit.
Nobody leaked the iceberg.
There's one, and I took it, and I was actually going to start updating it. It was created by a now deleted user.
Okay.
On Reddit, so I couldn't find them in time to credit them properly. Okay, here we go. Do you want it just in the general?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just in media. Media chat.
Media chat.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm really excited. I've been busting my ass off on this one. And it's not 100% complete. This is actually slightly, a little bit, it needs to be updated. I added
a couple
super
drafts behind
and some others, but this is where we are so far.
All right, let's take a look at this. Let's see. Oh, wow, that's deep. That's the Blow Vampire.
Sorry about that guy. We'll talk about it. The Blow Vampire.
I can't have a tiny bit of a teaser for the upcoming vid by knowing about the Blow Vampire.
Why the Blow Vampire? Come on, man. We got.
I know
vampires suck. Okay. I know vampires suck. Apparently, this one blows. I don't make the rules, man. It is what it is.
How can I not be curious about the Blow Vampire?
If I'm gonna be honest, not gonna lie to you, I read about it. I learned a lot about it, and then I forgot it.
You know what?
Happens. Let's see what does chat say. Will it be like an hour-long video? Because I love those. Y'all, okay. Here's what I'm gonna say to you. Okay. Right now, check this out. You see that first tier on that? In that, if you're looking at the iceberg, I don't know if y'all are looking at it on the stream. I don't want to.
Are you going just as deep?
So far, we start out with Dracula, and then jump into I Am Legend. There's kind of a long intro. I'm not gonna lie, but just that alone, we're only 2 concepts in, and the video's over 24 minutes.
Oh my god, my dude!
The hell out of all of them.
This is the longest shit. I'm hyped. I love to have a stupid.
So I'm not trying to set. Yeah, I'm not gonna say impossible expectations, but will it be over an hour? God damn right it will be. This video is a nightmare to make, man. Putting together this iceberg
Thrilled.
and then doing the research for it, and then I've been taking it an extra step further. I've been I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that for a surprise. Actually, there's one more thing I'm doing throughout the entire series of the Vampire Iceberg.
Okay.
That I'm gonna be doing in conjunction with each of the entries we discuss. But that's all I'm gonna say on that. We're gonna draw the line.
I'll live without a teaser.
Yes. As far as everything I'll say right now, my friend, that is why part 3 for Vampire the Masquerade is not out yet. It's not that it's on the back seat or anything like that. It's just I have as far as VTM goes, I have a stupid amount of reading left to do to even try to tackle some of the next concepts. On top of trying to put together the video for this one, but I'm excited nonetheless, and everyone's been patient. I love it.
A quick question that may or may not be relevant to the drawing I'm working on. Something that I don't know. Anything happen to the eyes of vampires in Vampire the Masquerade, or do they just have normal human eye colors?
Oh, yeah, good question. So blanket statement number 1, okay?
Uh-huh.
The vampire, the embrace affects everyone differently.
Okay.
If that means that your vampire has white eyes, and like they look like mine, but now they're like bleach white or whatever, that's what the blood did to you. You know what I mean? So first of all, it's up to you. Now, stepping that, I hear the drawing's sick. That's cool. I'm excited to see it.
Thank you.
Now, that being said, vampire eyes appear as normal, generally speaking. Do you know what the blush of life is? I guess I should explain.
Oh, God. Is that where after you drink blood, they have more semblance of life? Or is that something different?
Close. It can be. So, in Vampire the Masquerade, the blush of life is every vampire, most vampires, have an innate ability to call upon the blood. Mechanically speaking, you roll a hunger dice check. If it's V5, you do a dice roll, right? Or you spend a point of blood. And for the rest of the scene, for the remainder of the scene, your character, your vampire, will resume human breathing. They'll breathe, they blink, their chests rise and fall, right? Their skin becomes less pale and corpse-like. They, the meat in their body kind of looks a little less dead, right? Saliva begins to salivate in the mouth once more, right? They can do the, they can creep up on you, right, and put the little stake in the thing with the blush of life.
Right.
So point being, right, it turns them from, because generally speaking, vampires they're still, like they don't breathe, they don't blink, they just they just stare, right, look like a corpse. So that brings it back. Some vampires. So the only reason why I bring that up to answer your question about the eyes. If you want to interpret it as, this vampire hasn't used a blush of life, maybe his eyes are a little more sunk and dead looking or discolored. Okay. Finally, do you know the discipline Auspex?
Oh boy, I get all of the names confused so often. Yeah. There's so many names. And it's
fine, I can play for chat too. So Auspex is a discipline that not all vampires have, but plenty clans have. That specifically has to do with the senses, primarily the eyes, the ability to see. And so Auspex lets you do things like in old versions of the game, you could use Auspex to read people's auras, like you're one of those witches at the gas station down the street or something. You can read people's auras, and when that happens, their eyes glimmer or something like that. They'll change shape, right? Like if you look at my aura, it'll be red or something like that. But if I look at his, who's hungry, he'll be yellow. Then finally, I know it's a lot, there's another discipline, which is protean, and that specifically has to do with, the vampires who have the claws,
Yeah.
or the vampires who could turn into bats and like gain animal traits.
Or like one of my players, a coyote.
There you go. That's a Protean, right? He's a full Protean.
Vampires
can use.
I think he has 2 ranks in Protean and 1 in what's it called? Invulnerable? The one that makes you tougher.
Oh, Fortitude.
Fortitude, okay. That's the one.
Nice. Yeah, great move. Yeah, that's a scary ass coyote, I'm sure.
Yeah.
One of the level 1 abilities of Protean is your ability to, I don't remember what it's called, but vampires gain night vision. So not all vampires have night vision by default. They just have enhanced low light vision.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to night vision, that's from Protean. And when they use that, their eyes turn orange, and they get that orange luminescent glow.
Okay.
But that's only when they're using it, which is also scary as hell when you like, running around, right? And you just see like 2 beady red or orange eyes staring at you, right? And talking to you in a British accent.
Nice. Okay. Well, then what that tells me is I could do glowing eyes here, but I probably don't need to and shouldn't.
Up to you, my friend.
Well, I've included a light source in the image. So...
That's how vampire is for you, right? The answer for vampire is never just yes. You gotta sit down and break down like astronomical concepts.
Oh yeah, one of my players asked another one, can vampires get drunk, and leads to like an extended discussion about, well, no, but actually here's how.
They can. Vampires can get drunk and they can get high, and that's called lush, by the way.
Okay.
Vampires who are if you knew me as a guy who like, let me take a step back. Lush is essentially if I was a human and I just snorted a bunch of cocaine like back to back, you biting me, you will start attaining the symptoms in your bloodstream.
So this is where I find the lore of vampire interesting, where nothing's made too certain. Because when I was talking to my friend about that, when he explained it, I came to the conclusion that, like, well, vampires gain the emotional state of the people they consume. So it's even possible that, like, it's not that they're getting the drug, it's that they're getting the emotional state, which is the drug.
The sanguine resonance, the blood resonance. Yeah, that's a. I rework that concept in my games when I run him. I'm not running one right now, but and it's that's also completely true. Like you could very well have a vampire who just thinks he's stoned, but it's just the resonance of the person that he drank, who's in a tough mental state or whatever the case, right?
Nice.
Even worse when you're Malkavian.
So what's your rework there? How do you interpret that?
So the way, okay, I should preface, when I run the game, people would be pissed. Okay, if they saw, like, a lot of elitists in the fandom would be so angry at me if they saw how I run Vampire.
Okay.
But I do it a little differently. So stoned vampire. I know, right? I don't really remember how the normal system. So, okay, let me take another step back. Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition is the one that introduces blood resonance. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but at least when it comes to like hardcore utilization, the other books reference it, but they don't use it as prominently as V5 does. At least on the mechanical perspective, I mean, when it comes to like dice rolls and stuff like that. But basically, the way I like to do it is blood resonance, as you mentioned, is based off the emotional state of the victim being bitten.
Yeah.
You can't get resonance from bagged blood and the like, unless it's like, a Ventru's unique bagged blood, right? That costs like $700,000 to perfectly refine, and then it also produces resonance because the blood is so strong. But I change the system. It comes down to the game, but I like to list out all the resonances, which there's sanguine, choleric, melancholic, and some others, right? But basically, it's like, if the person I bit was depressed, I become depressive, or my stats change in a way that depress, right? If you put it that way.
Okay.
So it's case by case, right? But let's say, for example, if in my last game, I took Sanguine Resonance, which I believe is the one that's about fire, passion, love making, that kind of thing. Let's say I bit someone, let's say a Toreador bit someone who was, hammering the stake, right? And they got a Sanguine Resonance into their system. In my last game, I would have just given him like a flat +2 bonus to their strength and like one other thing of their choice, maybe, if it applied.
Okay.
But it always comes down to a case by case thing. It's never just like a static, okay, now your disciplines are better. Here you go.
Mhm.
It's like, it comes down to, that's a really odd way for me to say role play it out. Sorry.
No, fair enough. Like, you basically prefer there to be a slightly less rules heavy approach to it.
Yeah, I guess so. If, generally speaking, I think Vampire at its greatest moments, in my personal greatest times of running Vampire, it never was about, okay, how can I say this? It came down to the moments, right? It came down to what is most critical in this moment. Can we role play this part out? Mm-hmm. Do I need you to roll dice? Or do I need to amp up the stakes and introduce dice and dice challenges? And by the way, I bet I think maybe one person can attest in here if they're in here, but I change dice rules in the game. I don't set difficulties.
Oh,
I don't say, okay, you need to beat a difficulty of 6.
Really?
I duel you. You take your dice pool. This is really weird. Again, it breaks a lot of rules.
Okay.
But it's how I like to do it. If your dice pool is 6, right, because you're going to punch down the door and you're going to kick it in, right, so you have 6 dice, you're going to roll 6, and you're going to tell me if you're going to keep the roll or if you're going to re-roll using willpower, like usual. And if you get 5 out of 6 successes, keep. Good. I scoop it up, my turn. I roll. And if I match you or beat you, I win, right? The storyteller wins.
Weird. Okay. To return to Age of Sigmar Soulbound, I had considered doing something similar until someone pointed out if you interpret the set DC system the way Age of Sigmar Soulbound does, it feels like it makes a lot more sense, where they refer to the DC as the difficulty and the number of results needed as complexity.
Difficulty and complexity. That does sound familiar.
Yeah.
I've seen systems like that, but not in Age of Sigmar or anything like that. Difficulty and complexity.
Which I think is a good way. It's a better way to explain it, at least, than what Vampire does by default.
Is it still a D10? Is it the percentile system?
They don't use percentiles in Age of Sigmar. They use, is it D6s? It's similar to Vampire, but with different dice, I think.
Okay, fair enough. Mm-hmm. Nice, yeah. Well, that's kind of the cool thing about the World of Darkness kit.
Yeah.
And Dungeons and Dragons is also flexible in that regard, but I think Vampire the Masquerade or World of Darkness, right? That the D10 approach with the dot and the pool system is really nice because you can so easily, swap out and change you can it's very modular, I guess you could say. Do away with certain things.
It's a system that really, really rewards a storytelling focused play.
Yes, absolutely. If you're not in that mental theater and you're playing a World of Darkness game, I don't think you're playing a World of Darkness game.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because one of the friends we play with has Aphantasia, and it's like his favorite game.
Nice.
But
there you go.
Mental theaters will just exist. It's just slightly different for him.
That is interesting. I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine.
Neither can he.
Fair enough. I had I was gonna grab them, but I don't. When I was speaking on the modularity of World of Darkness, I haven't got a chance to run it, but I have some Silent Hill character sheets, and that are World of Darkness based because I have full custom Silent Hill, and I've been working not. It wasn't an expectation for my channel or anything like that, unless maybe if I set up I get a microphone, get some friends, and podcast a game night. But I that's something that I would definitely be interested in doing. That also comes down to things like making a Discord and stuff like that, which is also probably on the horizon for my channel, right? But I think it'd be cool to try to find a way to World of Darkness or otherwise. I think it'd be really fun to try to sit down and be able to play with some yourself, for example, dude. I bet you would be a really fun player to have.
Oh, for sure. If you're ever doing something like that, I would be interested.
A storyteller, or?
Oh, I run too many games. If I were to do anything as an entertainer, it would have to be as a player.
Cool. Totally fair. Yeah. I'm not a forever DM, but I just love DMing. I think I'm a better DM than I am a player or a storyteller or whatever you want to call it.
I feel like I used to be, but I met a group that had another forever DM, and I've been forced to learn how to be a better player.
Oh, yep, there you go. Yeah, you got voluntold, set at the spot. This guy's got it.
I just got invited to a table where someone else was running and got to be a player for once. I was like, oh, this is so special.
Finally. You'll need to sit there with your brain beaten in the back of your head.
And then, of course, I ended up running games for them eventually.
What was that?
And then, of course, I ended up running games for them eventually.
There you go. That's what's up. That's how we do it. At some point or another, man, it always comes full circle, right?
So as we're coming up near the ending, is there anything you feel like you really want to touch on?
Well, nothing important, I don't think. Let's see. I gave my YouTube apology.
True. Very important. Wait, there's a problem with the YouTuber apology. You're not a white guy, and it needs to be a sad white guy in the thumbnail for YouTube apologies.
Damn it, you're right.
Oh, man.
Let me get I also need an animal that I can I go say sorry to my dog, and then I could talk to you. I'm sorry I used AI art in my games, okay? in my videos.
Yeah. Games, I actually don't know anyone who minds because no one's gonna pay an artist for all 15 NPCs.
Yeah, true. Let alone trying to paint concepts of World of Darkness or even just Vampire the Masquerade is
sheesh. If you're running a game and it's not for profit, I think there is literally zero ethical complaint.
Running it. Say that again, sorry?
If you're running a game and it's not a show or anything, you're just running a game with friends, I think there's no ethical problem with using AI art in that case.
Got you. Okay, I understand.
Because your players are going to decide to talk to someone that you didn't imagine existed before they decided to go talk to someone. You're not going to, no matter how rich you are, you can't have an artist staff ready to be all right, guys, I need you. They're talking to Joe Magelli, the bartender. I need him drawn stat.
Yeah, you need 3 police report sketches or whatever those guys do, right?
Get rich enough to have sketch artists on hand.
I think the art looks cool, but I don't know. Maybe my fangs should be longer. Doesn't look very I don't know, Fantasia or some shit. No, I do want to say I thank you so much for having me on. This is super fucking cool, for real.
No, thank you.
I never got to you helped me cross that off my bucket list. It's get interviewed? What? So, thank you so much. That's cool as hell.
Oh, I'm glad, man. I had a good time talking to you.
Yes, sir. We doing this again, right? Talk about some Magic?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to have you back to talk about Magic because I would take any excuse to talk more about Magic. It is consuming my mind lately.
Are you commander player?
Oh, I'm a commander player. I have mentioned in a
Good.
few interviews now, but I have 14 commander decks, even though I barely ever play because I love deck
hang on.
building.
I might have you beat. Let me think about it.
All right. You gonna count?
Okay, well, I have 3 vampire decks.
Oh my god.
Damn. Okay, no. I think you got me beat at 14.
14.
What? Okay, hang on. Let's not get into this. Let's save this for later. We're gonna be here all night.
Thanks for being on. Do you want to take a look at the art?
Yes. Oh, dude, I'm scared. Okay, here we go.
Hopefully you like it. That's why I always.
Holy shit, that's cool as fuck, dude. Look at that. Dude, this looks seriously sick, man.
Yeah.
I want to use this in like a future video. This is, a future video or a game or whatever. Fucking fantastic, man. I love it.
I'm glad you like it, man. It was fun to put together.
Super cool.
I like how it came out. It wasn't exactly what I envisioned going in, but you know what? I like the results just fine.
It's got a cool dynamic thing going on with it, man. I love the noir. That's just fucking cool, man. I love it. That's really cool.
Thank you for being on, man. I can't do the show without guests, and absolutely you should come back on to talk about... I don't know what particularly about Magic, just Magic in general. I don't know. It's just fun to talk about. It's a good game.
Oh yeah, I get it. we'll find something to get mad about and then something to get hyped about, right? Maybe we can argue about Infect or something.
Thank you so much for being on, man. I had a blast. This is a ton of fun to put together. Great talking to you about all sorts of things. YouTube creation, World of Darkness. Honestly, I just love talking about World of Darkness, and there isn't enough of a reason to. I hope everybody out there has a good one. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, SleepyJack, for being on.
Drawk show. Seriously. I love all y'all so much, man. Y'all, you're gonna give me the power to. Oh, I'm so excited, man. Y'all don't even know what's in store. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm stoked, man. All right, have a good one, everyone. Thanks and bye.
Leather trench coat with the shotgun. It's what I said in my Iceberg, my brother.